We're waiting to take you to safety.
What safety? I'm not going out there!
The parking garage isn't far.
Dario Rosso is perhaps the single most unimportant person that Jill Valentine will meet during the events of the game Resident Evil 3. He plays such a minor part in the grand scheme of the story that you'd be forgiven for forgetting that he made an appearance at all. Yet, despite his lack of any real importance, Capcom deemed him worthy enough to not only receive a small backstory and accompanying text to the game, but also to reappear in the remake, with Dario helping to set the stage as the only civilian survivor that we actually interact with in the campaign.
The parking garage isn't far, I can
The only safe place is in here!
The story of Dario Rosso as we know it begins with a dream that Dario had been harboring for many years before the events of Raccoon. Throughout his life, Dario had always dreamed of becoming a novelist, dreamed of writing best-selling works and moving the masses with his words. Yet, despite these fantasies, life, and more specifically his mother, had dissuaded him to take a much less romantic road to travel down. A road that would lead him away from his aspirations of writing and into the much safer route of becoming a salesman. This chosen path for Dario would allow him to forge ahead and create a life much like what his mother would have envisioned. A loving wife, a beautiful daughter, and a thriving career. Yet, despite these pleasantries he would manage to craft for himself on this path, Dario would still feel unfulfilled. He lived his life preoccupied with what could have been instead of what was. And as he brought his family with him on a sales trip to the booming city of Raccoon, a terrifying viral outbreak would ensure that he never reached the lofty heights he'd set for himself.
What are they?
Dario and his family would be staying at Raccoon's Apple Inn when a zombie outbreak would devastate the city. Dario's mother and wife would fall to the chaos almost immediately, and as he attempted to flee into the city with his daughter, she too would be consumed by the ravenous zombie hordes. In an instant, all of the happiness that this so-called safe path had provided him had been brutally ripped away, and the immediacy of it all drove him into a frenzied panic. Dario would rush to the borders of the city in an attempt to escape, only to find that GIs had sealed off the quickly decaying town. With no clear path to safety, the grief-stricken man would stow himself away in a nearby building, attempting to wait out the undead, or at least die before he could join their ranks. It would be here that a woman would find her way into his safe haven, but with everything that had happened and with his mind racing a mile a minute, he would be totally unreceptive to her offers for help, instead choosing to further isolate himself in a shipping container, where the last shred of his sanity would slowly drift away. Thoughts of his unfulfilled dreams being the only thing that his mind would keep replaying. Dario Rosso is not an important part of Jill's adventures in Raccoon, but he may be one of the most relatable. A man who had his life chosen for him by convenience and family. A man who dreamed of better things but never took any real actions to manifest those things into his life. Dario's story is one of goals unrealized, of dreams unmet. And while, in the end, his greatest fear may have been to become a member of the Walking Dead, in truth, he'd been a zombie for years already, fixating on a path unchosen and stumbling through life wishing he could change it.
I'm sorry about your daughter, but there isn't gonna be any rescue. We have to get out of here.
No! I'm not going anywhere. I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone!